And hello, everyone. It is February 13th, 2019. Today is my brother's birthday, my brother Michael. I have two brothers. I have a brother Brian, who lives about 15 minutes away from here. And then I have a brother Michael that lives in the Pittsburgh area. I'm not going to tell you what age he is, but his birthday today. So happy birthday to him. I texted him a little while ago. So he's doing well, and I hope all of you are doing well. We got Stacy and Tracy and Jasmine and Leanne and Dion and LaFord, Layla, Laura. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I think I have the chat set up the right way. If you don't know, at least on my screen, there is either live chat or top chat. And for some reason, it was on top chat last week. And so for a while, I was only seeing like the first comments. But now I have it on right, and I see everything scrolling here very nicely. That's good news for me. Christina and Linda and Cherie, what's going on, Cherie? Barbara, Vicky, I love also known as. I like that. I hope everybody's doing well. Chicks, 57. I'm going to talk about Thomas Brown tonight, at least a little bit, because of what's going to be going on out there this week. I don't know if I'm going to specifically get to the points that you're bringing up, but certainly talking a little bit about it. Got a lot to cover. I tried to, when I let everybody know, like on Facebook and Twitter, I tried to let everybody know the topics that would be covering tonight. We're going to talk about Thomas Brown. We're going to talk about Maura Murray. We're going to talk about Michelle Carter. We're going to talk about Lavender Doe. I hope I can fit it all in. But I appreciate everybody who is Angie saying she's working out and watching at the same time. Angie, it's funny you say that because I've been getting back to the gym, and I have a personal trainer that I'm seeing a couple times a week now, and he is kicking my butt. He is. Yesterday was a tough day. I'll see him tomorrow. I'm also altering my eating habits. I'm getting down to about 1,500 calories a day. Put on a little weight. I wouldn't say that I look horrible or anything, but I'm at about 185. I'm 5'9". I'm fairly muscular for my age. I'm at 185. I should be down around 178. I really should, especially at my age. So, been working out, getting back to it. He's doing a real good job. I love it that he's kicking my butt. And I've been really watching what I've been eating, starting probably about a week ago. Great to see everybody. Man, all these people tuning in tonight. Angie, Kelly, Carol, Shelly. Glad you're here, Shelly. Sorry you've been sick. If I cough during this podcast or this show, I want you to know that I'm feeling perfectly fine. I went to the doctor yesterday for this cough that I've had. You've probably noticed that my voice hasn't been its usual self. I got a lot of drainage and stuff going on. Went to the doctor yesterday, nothing serious. Probably some allergies and some other things, but I got a clean bill of health otherwise. So if you see me cough and it sounds kind of horrible, I want to assure you that I'm perfectly fine. But to Shelly, I'm sorry to hear that you are sick. Angie, thank you. Coming from Kokomo, Indiana, Rebecca. Of course, Kokomo is where, oh man, I forget her first name. Westenbarger. She disappeared. I forget off the top of my head. Of course, friends. Her daughter Matilda was a guest of mine back in 2017. I apologize. I'm going to look that up right this second so I don't feel too bad about forgetting her first name, but I remember her last name, and I remember her picture. I see it every day. And she is Esther Westenbarger from Kokomo, Indiana. Right? So thank you for tuning in. Yes, I did give up cupcakes, Kelly. Had to do it. Had to do it. I've been watching the movie Zodiac over and over. How many of you out there are from love that movie? It's a well-regarded movie. Did not do very well at the box office, but it's a spectacular movie. Of course, Robert Downey Jr. is in it. Jake Gyllenhaal is in it. Forget his name, all these things off the top of my head. It's a really good movie. I'm really not into serial killers, but that movie is so good. And it gives me a lot of inspiration, I think, for Unfound and seeing what Robert Graysmith went through to get his book published in the 1980s about the Zodiac Killer. Really a lot of good inspiration. Really well done movie. Zodiac, spectacular. It's on Netflix right now. If you're interested in watching it. Rebecca, yes. Esther Westenbarger, thanks. I did hear about Alexander's going up in flames last night. Katrina, I did, unfortunately. I did. So I've been watching, Zodiac has been on one computer when I've been working on the other computer, and kind of playing in the background. I can't even tell you how many times it's played in my apartment over the last week. The Desiree Ferris poll, you know, I'd love to do these polls because I like for my guests to see what the listeners take away from listening to an episode. A majority of people chose that they would give 6 to 10 years off the sentences of Jason Keegan and Mark Orzola to get meaningful information about Desiree's case. I think that's considerable. We talked about it, and I'm going to talk about the Patreon live show I did on Sunday night. We talked about that, and there were a variety of different opinions. Some people thought, you know, it's too early to start giving them a deal. Other people thought, well, you know, her family deserves to know as soon as possible, so you might want to step it up. It was an interesting conversation, but that was the majority opinion, that they would give 6 to 10 years off of either Jason's and or Mark's sentences. Will they give up meaningful information? Information, of course, that would lead to Desiree and where she is, whether she is dead or alive. So I thought that was interesting. Of course, the other choices were like 1 to 5 years, no years. That was the one that most people picked. So I thought that was a fairly aggressive choice. I can't say I can argue. I don't know if there's a right answer. I can certainly see a lot of different people's points of view on it, like I said on Sunday night. But that was the final tally on that poll, and I thank everybody for contributing to the poll. Once again, if you have not voted in the poll, please go to the discussion group, and you can do that. Stacy, Zodiac does make Arthur Lee Allen look very guilty. You know, I don't know if that's a little bit of manipulation on the movie's part. I've not read the book, but, you know, I know that his DNA didn't match, his handwriting didn't match, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which, you know, I don't know what to think. I don't know. Seems like a good choice, but some of those things that they at least relied on back in the 1970s, they just didn't match up. So I'm thinking one of these days, like with the original Night Stalker, using DNA or whatever, they'll figure it out, but they haven't done it yet 100% for sure. Thank you, Pamela. Yes, there's Cherie says, I think if they would have had different charges, that would have made a difference. Probably right regarding the poll, regarding Desiree Ferris's case. Tanya, I don't know what's hidden stuff for Zodiac. I don't know about that. I just watched the movie. Like I said, I would not say I'm a huge expert. I just thought the movie was really good. I think it did a real good job. I know there were a lot of artistic licenses taken, but I would recommend anybody to see it that's into true crime. And plus, it's a David Fincher movie, so you know it's going to be good. The Patreon live show went really well. It was a small group, as I anticipated. If you would like to watch the Patreon live show on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, you must be a Patreon supporter at the $12 a month tier or above. That, of course, has restricted the audience for that live show to a very small group. I think it was no more than 10 people. So it was very intimate, very one-on-one, very personal. I could get, of course, I'm looking at the numbers right now. We have 106 people viewing right now. It's hard for me to talk to all of you one-on-one. Whereas it's 7 people, 6 people, it's a lot easier for me to do that. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, I would urge you to join a Patreon. Of course, on top of that, you get access to the private blog, and you also get access. I send out, of course, books for free to people who sign up for Patreon as well. Some of the books we've done on prior cases, and I really got working on those books. So, there you go. So the Patreon talk on Sunday nights went real well after I got through some technical issues. I hope to have sorted out for this Sunday night. Kira, how this began, but I have to ask how this began. What began? Key, I know you are Key Radio Station. I don't, how this began. I'm not sure what you're talking about began. I'll be happy to answer that question, though, with a little more detail. So we talked about the Zodiac, Patreon Live, Desiree, Paul. Let's just go to Thomas Brown. I know a lot of people tuned in for that. If you don't know, starting, I guess, at the beginning of this week, there is a big search that is being done in the general area of where Thomas Brown's remains were found a couple weeks ago. What is it now? It's the time's flying. Was that 3 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago? And it seems to have popped up out of nowhere because I didn't get any inklings that it was going to happen. Some of the contacts, I guess you'd call them, in the Canadian Texas area did not tell me that they were going to be doing this week. In fact, I found out about it from a listener who I think works on gas wells in the area, listens to the show. And he said, I think something's going on out at Lake Marvin. And then somebody else contacted me and said the same thing. And then somebody else, and I'm like, well, this sounds kind of believable to me. And then I kind of did a little search, and then I found other people were talking about it, and then it ended up being true. And then I ended up receiving a photo group, and that's really all I want to talk about regarding the photo. But you saw the photo of all of those cars parked out there. And I've been told that this is a search that's going to be going on all week. There are a lot of people out there. I have been told that 100 people between, there's have the cadets out there, like police cadets who aren't quite police officers now. They have the Texas Rangers out there. They have the people as investigators from the Attorney General's office. You saw all the cars. It's a fairly big search. I don't know how this compares to how big the search was when Thomas Brown's remains were originally found. I didn't see any pictures. I don't know. But my perception, once again, after covering 115 missing persons cases, is that this is a fairly big search. Fairly big. Why are they out there? I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I've not had anybody tell me that. Well, let's put it this way. I've heard rumors, but nothing that I can substantiate. And if I can't be sure about it, then I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be part of the rumor mill. All I know is I was told by a few people that there was something going on out there. I didn't go post it right away because I wanted to get some confirmation. I got confirmation through that picture from somebody that I'm not going to name. And then I posted it. And then, of course, now we know that that's certainly true, what is going on out there. Do they think that they missed something? I don't know. Are they being that Thomas's case is considered to be a murder? Are they thinking that they need to do a deeper search because they think a weapon might be out there? I don't know. I really don't know. But from my experience, about all of the people that I've talked to about searches and their own cases over the last 2.5 years, this is a big one, especially considering that Thomas Brown's case is over 2 years old. I don't think that it would be unusual for a case if it was just a week old or 2 weeks old, but for a case that's 2 years and roughly 3 months old, it's a big search. There goes my I'm fine. I don't want you to think I have lung cancer, emphysema, or everything. I'm fine. But it's even surprising, given that Thomas remains were found out there already. I think that's probably the most surprising part, that there's a big search already after the remains were found. I'm sure that's been done before. I don't know how common it is, and I've had it, and I want you to know, I think I can say this. I've had a chance to talk to Penny about this, and my perception is that she doesn't really know a lot more about what's going on out there than any of you do or I do. My perception. And she is under no obligation to tell me anything secret if she doesn't want to. Okay? She knows that. We have our private conversations, as I do with all of my guests. She may know things that she can't tell me, perfectly fine. But my perception is that everybody, unless you're actually doing that search out there, it seems like most people are in the dark. That's my perception. Let's see. It's on. Okay. Oh, you're asking. Oh, Key is asking why start Unfound. Cherie, thank you for clearing that up for me. I will gladly answer that in a moment. Thank you. Let's see. You're welcome. Katrina says, surprised to hear Penny kept Klein on for phase 2. I don't know. Is she as pleased with his work? Then that's fine by me. Carrie says, I'm guessing evidence of some kind. Yeah, but what evidence? I don't know. Maybe they think they missed something. I don't know. I believe, Michelle says, I believe that it's probably uncommon for this many to be out there. I think so. And, I've even, there's another question maybe that we can talk about right at this second regarding the case, is that, and I've had this conversation with people who helped me with the program, that it's interesting to me that still 3 weeks later, or however long it's been, maybe a month, even longer, that we still don't know who the person is that discovered Thomas's remains out there. There is a reward for information leading to Thomas's remains. To my knowledge, that reward has not been paid yet. And that is, as far as I can tell, as you know, I've never been to Canadian Texas, but that is certainly causing the rumor mill to spin too. That reward money has not been paid, even though, of course, Thomas has been found. They've had the ceremony that many of us watched live when it was on Facebook Live a couple weeks ago. So I don't know. So there's still things that are very up in air. Some things that you would think would be answered by now that aren't. But I as you would suspect, I've gotten emails and messages and comments in the discussion group all over the map about who the person was that discovered the remains. Is it somebody within the city, outside the city? Was it a high school student? Was it an adult? Everybody has a lot of opinions out there, just not a lot of hard facts right now. And then the reward, etc. Just some things going on. Jamie says, I'm totally in the dark on this case and live just over an hour from there. Sorry to hear that, Jamie. We're doing our best. I can tell you that I'm trying to do my best. I know that Phil Klein with his press releases is trying to do their best. I know that Amarillo TV are trying to do their best. I know the Canadian Record is trying to do their best. But I'm sorry to hear you're totally in the dark. Everybody's just trying to do their best. Of course, I don't live there, and I do a different case every week. So I can only do so much. Mimi says maybe they've received a tip of some kind. Certainly possible. And you're late. You're excused. You don't have to apologize to anybody, including myself. It's good that you're here. Flippin' Scuba Girl. I love the name. I did get some scuba training way back, like 15 years ago, Flippin' Scuba Girl. And So that's really all I have to say about Thomas's case at this point. There's nothing that I can go on the record on because the things that I've received, I've not been able to substantiate. A lot of suspicions, and I just do not want to get into that. That takes place other places, and I know that I've been trying to keep a close eye on the group so the talks about all these things that are going on don't start spinning out of control into conspiracy theories and everything else. Okay, I will be honest that I've been really trying to keep an eye on that because that's not what I want in the group. I don't mind some speculation about why they're out there and everything, but you start talking about, cover-ups and all these things that, of course, they're out there, and they've been out there since Thomas disappeared. I'm really trying to keep that to a minimum. Okay, and I know that I've had to delete some comments because of that. Bree, did they classify Thomas's case as a homicide? Yes. In fact, the page on Facebook, they've changed the name of the Facebook page for Thomas's case. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but now if you read the title, it's Who Killed Thomas Brown or something like that. So yes, it's classified as a homicide. Susie, you're asking about my dad. Oh, it's so sweet. I appreciate that. I have to answer that question right away. My dad's doing good. I talk to him every day. He's been getting out. Some people have been coming over to see him. He saw my brother Michael. Michael's not my dad's son, but they got together a couple days ago. In fact, they went and shot guns on Saturday. He's doing good, but he's kind of getting on me, Ed. You have to get out there and find a 2-bedroom apartment down here for us. So that's going to be a mission of mine over the next couple weeks. I'm going to be moving to a bigger place with 2 bedrooms, but he's doing good. I think he misses my mom, of course, dearly. I mean, very strongly. But I think he's probably doing about as best as he can. And it's good to talk to him every day. That's what it's called, Heather. It's called Help Find Tom Brown's Killer is the name of the page now. Okay, great. Thank you, Katrina, for backing up. Okay, Help Find Tom Brown's Killer is the page now. It's the same page, all the same members and everything, but the title of the page has changed. So that's all I got. As you know, when I get information that is solid, I publish it. All right, in the group on the page, like I did when I got the picture yesterday. But if it's something that isn't solid, it's just a rumor, and I will be honest with all of you, and I'm just going to put this out there right now. That, Unfound has done a lot of work on this case. I've, been concentrating on it. Cherie has done work on it. Of course, Emily has done work on it. We're all very in tune with what was going on there, especially considering that Emily and Cherie coincidentally live in the state of Texas. I do not. But we're being very careful because we realize that there could be people out there who are trying to set us up, trying to make it like it's solid information, and it's not. Trying to get me or them or all of us together, all 3 of us together, to do something, to say something, to type something that is wrong, okay? And so we're being very careful about going public with things without really, backing it up. Okay, and that's probably why you haven't seen a lot of posts regarding Thomas's case, because we hear a lot of rumors, but nothing that can be substantiated. All right, and frankly, we don't want to be tricked. We've done good work on this. We've done legal, moral, ethical work on Tom Brown's case, and we're going to continue to do that. So that means being very sure about what we're saying and about what we're posting. Because I know that there are people out there that would love to trip us up. And we're just trying to be very vigilant and trying to protect against that. Okay, Katrina wants, Ed, please help clarify that Abrams had the surveillance videos and not Alexander's that caught fire, please. Yes, thank you. Yes, the videos that Penny sent me, and I have that hard drive. This is the hard drive she sent me right here. Here it is. Those videos that I watched, all 20 some hours of them, that eventually parts of them got posted to YouTube. They are on this hard drive right here. They're also saved somewhere else too, in case I mess this thing up. This is it right here. These videos come from Abraham's. That is the big building. It's like a trade investment building in downtown Canadian at that stoplight. It's at 2nd Street and Main Street, something, that intersection right there. Whereas Alexander's, my understanding, is like a grocery store. It also, though, had a video of Thomas's vehicle. The videos that I have on this hard drive, in my opinion, you cannot pick out Thomas's Durango on these videos. Okay, you cannot. On the Alexander video, I've been told that you can. I've never seen the video. Penny has seen the video. And on that video, you can allegedly see the Durango going toward his house early in the morning at some point. Okay? So yes, there is a difference. Abraham's, which once again is the videos that I watched, that I posted on YouTube that are still there, are on this hard drive. That building, to my knowledge, is perfectly sound. Whereas Alexander's, which is a building, a grocery store that is up past Frank's somewhere, like it would be southwest of where Abraham's is. That's the building that burned, and I don't know how bad. I don't know if it burned to the ground. I don't know. So there you go. But yes, 2 different places, but they both had videos that have played a role in Thomas's disappearance. But I've never seen the video from Alexander's. All I have are the videos from Abraham's on this black, what is it, Seagate hard drive that sits on my desk all the time, right over here. I'm going to put it back where it was. So there you go. Thank you for, I didn't know, I should have known that there was maybe some confusion. So I appreciate somebody bring that up. I don't know why Alexander's caught fire. No idea. Barbara says Abraham is his 2nd in Maine. Boy, that was, my memory is working tonight. Very good. Yeah, Jamie says Alexander's did have video that showed that was claimed to be Tom's Durango. Right. Jamie, exactly right. Okay. So that's that. Okay, so that's Thomas's case. That's all I really have for today. I don't know why they're out there. All I know is there's a lot of cars out there. There's a lot of people out there. And it seems they are very intent on not missing anything. Somebody told me that they are walking like arm in arm, like arm's length. So they are not allowing any area between them. Whereas I think in general searches, people will spread out maybe 10, 20, 30 feet between each other. My understanding is that they are going through this area arm to arm. That sounds pretty serious to me. Pretty serious. Kimberly says, what picture? I'm not sure what picture. Picture of the cars being out there from yesterday. That is in the discussion group on Facebook, and it is also on the Unfound page on Facebook. You can see it. All right, let's move on to something else. Another big case, and that is Maura Murray. After last week's, I want to do this. Key Radio, KEYE Radio, asked me a question, and I want to make sure that I answer it because he said that he was going to be tuning in tonight, so I feel very, very obligated to answer this question. Leela, the newsletter comes out once a month, and it'll be out in a few days. I got started doing Unfound. I actually did another show that is never named before this one, in which I had a co-host. I got into doing that because I had struck up with friendship with this woman online, and we both had a interest in true crime. We ended up doing a missing persons program. Didn't work out. And that's how I ended up doing Unfound on my own The first episode came out in September 2016. Now, the bigger story than that is that I've always been interested in missing persons. I can remember as a kid watching like the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. I somehow over the years became an expert on airplane crashes. I can talk to you about, big airplane crashes and what happened, the type of jet. I'm an encyclopedia of airplane crashes up here. So it's just the way my mind works. Then on top of that, I do have public speaking experience. I have performance experience. I have script writing experience. All of it just kind of came together. And so that's why the first show got started. And then when that didn't work out, I thought, well, I can do something on my own. I really want to have it interview based because I know from my experience, I always wanted to hear from the people who knew the most. Okay. I'm just going to be honest with you. I didn't want to listen to somebody just go out and collect information that's already out there. Okay. I wanted to hear interviews with the people who experienced, whether it was a plane crash, being in a plane when it crashed, or escaped from a serial killer, or a parent who lost a loved one to a disappearance. Those are the people who I always wanted to hear from when I was on the other side of the microphone. So I figured that I could do that. I know it's going to be a lot more work trying to find these people, but it has worked out. And I'm very, I had to do it on my own for a while. And then Emily, who I know a lot of you know, I've mentioned her often. She does so much work for the program, finding guests for the program. She's been doing it since May of 2017. Spectacular. She finds a large majority of the people that you end up hearing on the program. So I wanted to do an interview-based program. There aren't many out there. In fact, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is The Vanished Show, which is kind of similar, I guess. We have our own shticks. We have our own ways of going about things. So that's really how it all came together. And didn't know where it was going to go. But here we are, 115, 16, 17 cases in. I don't know how many episodes. There's more episodes than that. We have over 4,000 people in the group. We have like 4,500 some likes on the page, even though I think I just started that page like a year ago or something. Didn't even start it when I started the program. So that's just kind of how it worked out. And in the meantime, I've gotten to know a lot of people in the missing persons community that have helped me behind the scenes. And I've struck up a lot of friendships with a lot of these guests who've been on the program. That's how it all came together. That's how it, thank you, Laura, for the kind words. Okay, Kimberly. Yes, every month. Kimberly says, my husband loves to read NTSB reports. Me too, Kimberly. Me too. Maybe Cherie, you can answer that, Dion. Another question for you, Ed or Cherie, on this 4 pics Ed put up. Did asking the age of the person and that's going to be relevant to this Friday's case, Dion? Okay, so let's move on to. So that's my answer to how I got started in this. This is, a lot of things just came together. It's not any one particular aspect of my life. A lot of things put together, but my mind just gravitates in that direction. Maura Murray. There was some information that came out since last week's show, so we need to talk about it. And that is that back in November, December, that, let's just give it to you this way. Of course, Maura Murray disappears. She wrecks her car, disappears. Since then, there's been like a cottage industry of different opinions on what happened. You have your own groups and cliques and everything else. And you've heard me talk about this before, probably on this very show on Wednesday nights. But there's always been a rumor, or maybe it's more than that that there was a house that was near where Maura Murray wrecked and disappeared, that when police at the time and since then went to that house, they talked to the homeowner would never allow them inside the house. I've never been there, but this is what a lot of people say. And this is, of course, caused people to try to figure out and how this is even known, how it's even known that this homeowner has not been helpful or has allowed the police to go in his or her house. I don't even know how that information got out. I don't even know that. That'd be a great question that I'd love to ask somebody who might know. But so since then, that house near there has never been searched. Now, are there other houses in the area that weren't able to be searched? I don't know. Maybe this is the only homeowner. Maybe there are others. But sometime in the recent past, I don't know if the homeowner sold or died or whatever else, but whoever lived in that house when Maura disappeared does not live there anymore. So the new homeowner allowed some dogs to come in, and then they allowed some ground penetrating radar to come in to look around, specifically in the basement. And allegedly, and these are news stories, these aren't necessarily rumors, they are real news stories out there about this, is that the dogs hit on something in the basement and the ground penetrating radar saw something that's under the floor. All right, and this has come out recently, and Fred Murray, Maura's father, has talked about this. So it's caused a lot of people, of course, Maura Murray's case is now jettisoned back into the spotlight. Not that it's even maybe kind of left it. It has to be the most well-known disappearance in the United States in the 21st century. Has to be. And I mean, that's the very reason that a podcast, the Maura Murray podcast got started. To that point, there had never been a podcast devoted just to one case, one disappearance, than there was. And I've been asked, what do I think about it? I'll tell you. I have to say that I'm doubtful this is going to go anywhere. Anybody who has listened to the episodes, has watched here before, you know how I feel about dogs. More two-legged animals, humans find missing people than four-legged animals do. It's not even close. It's really not even a question of dogs are used in many disappearances. How many times do dogs find people? Not very many, considering how often they are used. All right, that's a fact. Sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't. So I don't know what to think of that. The ground penetrating radar, I'm sure if you Google about ground penetrating radar and it allegedly seeing things, and those things don't end up to be a missing person or anything like that, it's very common. It's very common. You don't know until you actually go in there and dig for yourself. So let's do something right here for a second. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, hold on one. I'm trying, people. I'm trying. It's not working too well. Let me try this. I'm trying. Why doesn't that work? Why doesn't that work? Can you not block him, Cherie? I know you have access. Okay. We're just going to have to put up with it for a while. So I don't know what to think of it. I wish there was, there's so many rumors and everything else surrounding this case that I don't know what to make of it. I don't want to put myself in any clique that has gotten out there regarding this, regarding Maura's case. I'm just highly doubtful. The main doubtful thing to me is that it's been like 3 months and they haven't done anything. And I know Fred has said, well, we don't want to dig in there. It's going to ruin. Well, we just want to let the police do it. Well, funny you bring up the police, because the police kind of feel like I do, that there's nothing to it, which is, should tell you something. For example, look at the Zoe Campos case. As soon as Carlos said that she was buried in the backyard, they were there the same day. But in this case, where it seems like they have some pretty good facts, if you want to trust dogs and a ground penetrating radar, that but they're not doing anything. It makes me doubtful. It just makes me suspicious that there's just, and on top of that, it just seems like the Oxygen Network is involved. And I just went through a thing a couple weeks ago talking about the Smiley Face Killer show on that channel. It kind of feels to me like, is this just marketing on their part? I can't help but think that. There we go. Now it's working. All right, he's finally blocked. Thank you, Cherie. Mine wasn't working. My mute button was not working, Cherie, so you have access. If you don't know, Cherie is my business manager. She has access to the YouTube account, and she can handle these things when I can't seem to do it. For example, my button was just not working over, so I apologize for the spammer there. So Cherie, just keep an eye on that if you could, because she has direct access. She has the password and username for the account. She is a moderator. Cherie is certainly a moderator. So thank you for doing that. That was distracting. So being that it's been 3 months, it just makes me doubtful. I don't mean to be negative, but you can put it another way. If Maura Murray wrecked her car and did whatever and just happened to show up at this house where she is murdered and buried in the basement, then this is a disappearance that is like 1 in a million. That is just the worst bad luck for Maura Murray that I can even imagine. Now let's compare it to another case out there that maybe a lot of you have forgotten at this point. Morgan Harrington, do you remember the name? She disappeared from a Metallica concert in, was it Blacksburg, Virginia, back in like 2011. Her body was eventually found a couple months later, and they eventually caught her killer. Now, did she run into bad luck that night? Yes, she did. She somehow found herself outside of the concert, couldn't get back in, started walking around on this campus, and either she got dragged into a car by this guy or she willingly got into the car, and I don't even know which. The difference, Charlottesville, Virginia. Thank you, Kelly. It wasn't Blacksburg. It was Charlottesville. Thank you. Blacksburg is where Virginia Tech is. Or not. That's where Blacksburg is something. Yeah, we got to block him again. He's going to keep at it. I think you could put him in timeout, Cherie. Put him in timeout. Just put him in timeout. Just keep doing that. But was it bad luck on Morgan's part that night? Yes, it was. But she was in a city. This guy was obviously driving around looking for somebody to pick up. And unfortunately, she was on the bad end of this. But at least it was in a city where this guy was cruising around in an area where he might find some young woman to get into a car with him or attack her. Whereas Maura Murray, where she disappeared out in the middle of nowhere, and she just happened to end up at this house where she would be murdered, it's hard to imagine. I'm not saying it's not impossible. It's just so improbable. It's like Powerball, just like trying to win Powerball. I don't mean to be cynical or unhopeful or anything else, but when I hear these stories, when I read a story like that, I can't help but be cynical and think, is this just some TV station, channel, Oxygen Network, just trying to raise attention to themselves? Because that happens. Whether we like it or not, that happens. It happens. It just does. And he's just going to keep doing it, Shuri. Might as well just keep working at it. Somebody really doesn't like this program. But so there's what I have to say about Maura Murray. I just think that there's nothing to it. I really do. As much as everybody's gotten excited about it and, is thinking it's going to go somewhere. Obviously, Fred Murray thinks that. It's put its back in the spotlight. The odds of that house being the place where she disappeared or died is so astronomical, I can't even begin to explain it. So that's really, all I can say about that. I wish I had more. I wish I had something more hopeful for all of you, or, Fred Murray and the rest of the family. I just don't. It just, dogs get so many things wrong. And being that it's been 3 months and nothing's been done, if the homeowner wants to just go start down there and poke it around, there's no court order or warrant or police or judge or district attorney that could stop that. Nothing. There's nothing that could stop that. But they haven't done it for 3 months. And we all know hearing from the guests on Unfound, how desperate they are to find their loved one. Daughter, son, brother, sister, mother, father, friend. They wouldn't wait 3 months. No matter if they thought it was going to ruin some investigation, they would be down in that basement getting it done. So there you go. That's what I have to say about that. And I needed to talk about it because it's been big news. And I know a lot of you have been following it. That's just my opinion on it. And so let's move on to something else. This was a good discussion that went on in the discussion group in the next few days. You certainly have your hands full there, Shuri. That's funny. Let's move on to Michelle Carter. She is the young woman who was eventually charged with involuntary manslaughter for the suicide of her boyfriend, Conrad Roy. A lot of you were talking about, is the sentence enough? 15 months. A lot of you thought that wasn't long enough. And here's the problem that I have. We have to put ourselves in a situation where, let's think of another example. Say there was a person who was out in the water who was drowning. There is no legal obligation that unless we are a lifeguard who is on duty there, none of us have a legal, moral, or ethical obligation to go out there to try to save that person. I know a lot of people do, but that's also how a lot of people end up dying as well. They try to go rescue the person who's drowning, and they both drowned. That happens often. So we have to consider that. If somebody goes out there, we have no obligation to save them, even though we think it's horrible and everything else. We have to think about our own safety. Now, if that person is going out there to commit suicide and drown, it's the same thing. Although it would be nice and everything else, we know that there's a lot of danger going out there to try to save somebody who wants to drown. Now, if the lifeguard doesn't do it, that's a totally different thing. But essentially what this girl did in a different circumstance would be if somebody went out there, if her boyfriend went out there to drown himself, she was kind of yelling from the dock, go ahead, do it, do it. Because in this case, in the actual case, she told him to, get back in that truck, do it. He's trying to kill himself with the carbon monoxide from the exhaust. And that's what he did. He went back in there, killed himself. And of course, the police got the text and saw everything. And that's how she was eventually given these charges of involuntary manslaughter for, she's going to go to jail for 15 months. We must add in some other things, though. Both of these young people had mental issues. They had both been in health clinics. I think they were on medication. We certainly don't know what Conrad Roy's mindset, we know that he was suicidal, but was it because of his medication? What was it because of? I don't know. But we also have to look at it. Is it possible that Michelle Carter wasn't in the right frame of mind either? Because she had had her own issues with her mental health. And was she in the right mind when she was telling him, get back in the truck? I don't know if that was ever established. The problem, I think, what hurt her in this case was that after the fact, she admitted that she said essentially that she admitted that she could have stopped it. As soon as you say something like that, and if a case goes to court, you're going to be in trouble. In my opinion, the reason that she even got charged successfully, it wasn't a jury trial, it was just a judge who made this decision. That is, of course, the defendant's choice. The judge looked at that, and I thought she could have stopped it. She didn't. She goaded him into this, and that's why she got the time that she did. Okay? I'm no legal expert, but I will tell you this. Without that, her saying that she could have stopped it, I'm not sure she goes to jail at all. My opinion. All right. I know that there's some legal scholars out there, the difference between voluntary manslaughter and voluntary homicide, negligent homicide, and everything else. That is not my expertise. But I know a lot of you think that she should have gotten a longer sentence. I can't say that I agree with you because we don't want to get, and I know this is not trying to be funny, but we have to remember what the last episode of Seinfeld was about how the four of them didn't stop that guy from getting robbed or whatever it was. And that's why they ended up in court in the first place in the last two episodes of Seinfeld, if you remember it, because it was the Good Samaritan law because they didn't do anything. And what she did is one step worse than that. And I just don't know. I know that some of people have made the point, 15 months, she's going to learn a lot in jail. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know her. I don't know what time she's going to serve. But it seems, given everything, it seems about right. But I still say, if she wouldn't have admitted that she could have stopped it had she not typed that, I don't think she gets convicted. I don't. You have to remember, she was on a phone. There's no way she could get over there and pull him out. Should she have called 911? Maybe, but maybe she didn't think he was serious. So, Carrie's saying she egged him on. He wanted to back out. She forced his hand. She forced him through a text message. Have any of us ever been I don't know. I will tell you this, that if he was trying to commit suicide because of her, if she had over that time caused him mental anguish, caused him to be depressed, was driving him nuts and everything else, I think she would be much more culpable in this suicide. But to my knowledge, that was not established in the case. That was not established. It was just established that they both had mental health issues. He had tried to commit suicide before. It was unsuccessful. This time he was. There were texts on the phone, and then she got charged with what she got charged with. Vicky is saying she thinks that the sentence is long enough. She has to live with what she's done. Is prison going to stop this? Not so sure. Mental health facility. Yeah, huh? At the ghost of Sherry Biggs. That's funny. It's a tough one all around, as Sue says. Once again, I think that she would be more culpable if she had no history of mental issues. She would certainly be. But I can't see being, it's horrible. It just sucks. The whole case sucks. But I can't see giving her more than 15 months. I just can't. I don't know if she thought he was really going to do it. We've all tried to goad things into people, of course, not committing suicide, but other things that we didn't think they were going to do, and they did it. I don't know. It just is horrible. And I hope that Michelle Carter grows up to be a fine woman. And I hope she has regrets about this. I hope she becomes whatever she wants to do with her life. I hope she's successful in a good way, as long as it's something good. It's just losers all around. Losers all around. Layla, I think they were able to prove that Manson, okay, you're talking about Charles Manson, had his family under his control through fear and intimidation, as well as drugs, etc. But but he was there. And he was a scary dude. Courtney says, I feel like she helped him do what he was already intent on doing. Assisted suicide, of course, is legal, I think, in a couple states, not legal in most states. Once again, then what happens if you find out that somebody you says, I'm thinking about committing suicide, and you don't do it, you don't take them seriously, just because, for whatever reason. Do you then become culpable for that? If somebody says it and you think they're joking around and you say, oh, yeah, I think you should do it, and they do it, where is that line in the law between culpability and no culpability? I don't know. That's why I said there's no easy answers here. Carrie says, I think she pushed him over the edge. Every time he wanted to delay it, she made him comments on it. Jamie says the PTSD from the experience is punishment enough. Those that have PTSD assume the truth is that. I think a mental facility would help Michelle more than prison. Yeah. So she was wrong. She got 15 months. That's going to change her life. This is Cherie talking. That's not me typing. That's Cherie talking. She got 15 months. That's going to change her life forever. I think that's justice. All we know is it's not going to bring Conrad Roy back. No. And we also, once again, we have to remember, he had tried to commit suicide before, unsuccessfully, without her around. Maybe he was unsuccessful because she wasn't around. See, we get into all these permutations of all this, and it's hard to figure out. 15 months seems right to me. Let's go to now, and one more thing. Lavender Doe. After 13 years, she was identified in Texas. There was a belief at one time that it could be Brandy Wells. That's a case, of course, that Unfound covered way back in 2017. It's not. The girl's name is Dana Dodd. What's, of course, going to be most interesting for me, although it doesn't seem like the details are out there yet, is how did she disappear in the first place? She was originally from Jacksonville. What is the story about her disappearance? How did she get from Florida to Texas? That's what I'm going to be looking forward for next in this particular case. The guy who killed her and another woman is in jail. He's not going anywhere. Maybe he will tell me if you can believe him. But I would like to know the details of her disappearance and what the family thought when she disappeared. Was she into drugs? Was she a prostitute? Was she a college student? Where was she? Those are things, as a missing persons reporter, investigator, those are the details that I'm going to be interested in. Hopefully they'll come out. So there you go. Let's go to this Friday's case. This Friday's case is a unique one. It's going to be the first of its kind in Unfound's history. One in which a person has disappeared and the person is still missing, but somebody has been convicted. Now, we know in the case of Zoe Campos, Carlos Rodriguez, he's going to be going to jail. What I mean is a case where the person is still missing. In this case, Angie, that's what we're going to call her, Angie Yarnell, and her ex-husband or husband, Michael, years later, went to jail for her disappearance, and he's now a free man. And you're going to hear about all of it this Friday. It is a really an unreal story about how he ended up only getting the amount of time. We're just talking about Michelle Carter getting 15 months. Michael Yarnell got 4 years for the disappearance of his wife, Angie Yarnell. 4 years. And so he's now out here a free man. And you're going to hear about how this all happened. This happened on October 25th, 2003, which coincidentally is my mother's birthday, October 25th. It happened in Ivy Bend, Missouri. And we're going to have some video from that area because a listener went down there who lives near there, took some video from down that area. I haven't seen it yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I am calling this episode Hook, Line, and Sinker because of the way that Michael Yarnell was able to get away with this story that he told about how Angie ended up being missing and how the DA bought all of it. You are not going to believe the story that the DA bought into and how Michael only ended up getting 4 years. And so the DA, to use a cliche or idiom or whatever it is, the DA bought Michael's story hook, line, and sinker. He did. And it's bad. Now, the question is this, and I want you to think about this as you're listening to the case on Friday. The interview is with Angie's mother, Marianne Asher Chapman. We did the interview last night. Isn't it true? Now, it would seem that all hope is lost. There's nothing that they can do now. Michael's out. But is it not true that if you lied during your allocution to a crime, that any deal that you got regarding that crime is thrown out the window? Is that not true? Is that not true? I think it is. And so I want you to think about that as you're listening to the episode, the interview, and we cover all of it as we do. The episode's going to be like over 2 hours long. So we cover a lot of territory. So there is still an out there. You're thinking, well, we can't get past double jeopardy in a case like this. Well, you can if they can prove that he lied originally about what happened. So I want you to think about that as we continue. And once again, that's the disappearance of Angie Yarnell, October 25th, 2003, from Ivy Bend, Missouri. The episode, I'm calling it Hook, Line, and Sinker because I think the DA bought Michael's story, Hook, Line, and Sinker. And you're going to probably enjoy how I set that up for the episode. You know how I do that. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. Covered a lot of stuff tonight. Man, the time went fast. An hour and 5 minutes. But what we do? I am feeling better despite some of the coughing you saw tonight. talked about the movie Zodiac, which is spectacular. If you want to become a Patreon member and watch the live show that I do, a much more personal show on Sunday nights, you can sign up for $12 a month. You will have access to the live show that I do on Sunday nights. You'll get some books for free, and you'll get access to the private blog. And of course, if you'd only want to do $2 a month, that's fine too, but you won't have access to the video. I apologize. We talked about the Desiree Ferris poll, how a lot of you thought that Jason and Mark should get at least 6 to 10 years off of their sentences for meaningful information. We talked about the search being done out there in Canadian Texas, or out at Lake Marvin again, regarding Thomas Brown's case. We talked about Maura Murray and the recent developments there. We talked about Michelle Carter, of course, and the suicide of her boyfriend, Conrad Roy. We talked about Lavender Doe, who has been identified as Dana Dodd from Jacksonville, Florida. She was 21 when she disappeared. And then finally, we covered the generalities of this coming Friday's case, the disappearance of Angie Yarnell, an episode I'm calling Hook, Line, and Sinker. That's all we got. If you got in late, you can go back. This will be available on YouTube immediately. I'm glad we got the troll situation sorted out. Please thank Cherie for doing that. She was in charge of that, taking care of that. Thank you, Cherie, because I could not do it. I don't know, these buttons not working. And I'm going to say goodnight. You will hear me on Friday. And then for any of you that are Patreon supporters, you will see me again on Sunday night. I can assure you the time's going to go very fast. Favorite time of my week, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Sleep well. Stay warm. It's been beautiful here in Madeira Beach, not to rub it in. Good night. I'm waving. There we go.